These are the 10 things I always get asked about Microsoft Flight Simulator. In no particular order, but I did save the best till last. So, number 1. Is Microsoft Flight Simulator worth it? And in short, yes, absolutely. If you're looking to get into flight simulation and have got yourself in the right mindset to deep dive and learn, then you just can't go wrong. You'll fall down the flight sim rabbit hole and be taking on sim-pit projects that will last years. It has an amazing community of dedicated simmers and you can take the hobby to some crazy levels. Number 2. Is Microsoft Flight Simulator free? No, it's not free. You can get it with Xbox Game Pass. I think that might be like $10 a month here or there, or you can buy it outright in the Microsoft or Steam store. It will set you back about $90 US. As far as I'm concerned, that's a bargain. Number 3, is Microsoft Flight Simulator realistic? Look, nothing obviously beats flying a real plane, but Microsoft Flight Simulator is as close as most people will ever get, including me. Some of the planes are study level and the flight physics and modelling can be quite accurate, and also if you have a PC with enough juice, the visuals can be absolutely breathtaking too. So yeah, I say it's realistic. Number 4, is Microsoft Flight Simulator on PlayStation? No, it's not. It's not on PlayStation, but it's on Xbox, and the experience is somewhat the same as you get on the PC. Don't ask me how they did it, but it's actually pretty good. The only reason I wouldn't fly on the Xbox is because of the lack of flight hardware and customization options. Other than that, it's just the same sandwich in a different wrapper. Number 5, is Microsoft Flight Simulator hard? Well, it's as hard as you want it to be, really. There are a ton of options that make it quite beginner friendly, and at the same time though, it's no ace combat. You can't just jump in a plane and expect to know everything. But the sim does do a great job of holding your hand as you develop your skills. Number 6, is Microsoft Flight Simulator good for training? Well, I think it can be, if set up in the right way. This sim goes deep. You might not be able to put loggable hours in here, but for getting familiar with airports, flight instruments, and generally keeping yourself fresh, I think it can be a great tool. I know a commercial Airbus pilot that is right now building a full sim around Microsoft Flight Simulator to help him stay fresh. Do with that what you will. Number 7, what kind of PC do I need for Flight Simulator? Look, you're going to need something with a bit of grunt. Microsoft Flight Simulator is quite hungry on both the GPU and the CPU. It's hard to put a specific specs in here because everything's always kind of changing. But as a baseline for 4K gaming, this is what I'm running on a medium setting for smooth gameplay. And that's an NVIDIA 3070 and a 9th gen Intel Core i7 with liquid cooling. If you want to run like a lower spec GPU, I suggest running a lower resolution screen like 1440p or 1080p. I'll often run 1440p if it's a cloudy environment, just to get the frames. But if it's a clear day, I'm able to run it at medium settings in 4K. Number 8, can Flight Simulator hours count towards hours logged? Now, I did touch on this earlier, and the answer is no, they don't. I believe there may be some instances that if you have a pretty specific setup that is approved by the Civil Aviation Authority, you might be able to, but generally, you're not going to be logging hours in this. Number 9. Should I get a VR setup or screen for Flight Simulator? Now, my advice here is more about understanding what you get with both, because there's no wrong answer here. Let's start with VR. Now, VR is quite amazing. What struck me the first time I used VR was when I looked out over the wing, I genuinely felt like I was 10,000 feet in the air. It blew my mind. And that was with the old Meta Quest. It was quite amazing. Along with this though, you do lose a bit of visual clarity, and you also lose sight of your controls. This is where the advantage of the screen comes in. You can see all your button boxes and physical flight avionics if you have them. So what you kind of gain in immersion with VR, you're going to lose in practicality. I still use screens over VR, however, I haven't been able to get my hands on one of these new VR headsets like the Varjo Aero, which I'm told will change my mind. If anyone's got an Aero, please let me know. what kind of specs you're running on your PC, and how you find it in general. Number 10. Now, like I said at the beginning, this is a question I get asked all the time. And the question is, I'm setting up a sim, should I get a PC monitor or a TV? Now, I think there's a straightforward answer for this. I always recommend buying a TV. I love the sense of scale to the interior of a cockpit it gives. PC monitors bigger than 32 inches will cost a small fortune, but you can get a 43 to 55 or even 65 inch television pretty cheap these days. If you're buying a TV though, there's a few things you need to look out for. Here are a few of the most important ones, so I'll just go over these real quick. The first thing is, make sure you get a 4K television. You can always run a 1440p signal to it if you're struggling with your graphics. And then, you're going to upgrade over time. It needs to have a variable refresh rate, some sort of FreeSync or G-Sync. Just look for the badge or a little icon that says VRR. And to accompany this, you're going to want like HDMI 2.1. The next, I'd recommend anything from 43 to 55 inches, maybe 65 inches, but anything over 55 inches at a distance of 3 feet from your eyeballs, you're going to start to see the pixels. Not a deal breaker, but to me, the 55 inch is like the absolute sweet spot. And the next one is to buy an IPS type panel. Now, the closer you get to your screen, the more of an angle you're putting on that visual line. So sometimes with a VA panel, the corners of the screen start to wash out. This does not happen on an IPS panel. You get very good viewing angles on IPS. So I wouldn't be a stickler for IPS, but if you can get it, it's a very good option.